Yeah, I'm not too happy about it, but I guess if I want to play with them, I've got to deal with it. So
Yeah. I like the resin from Forge World, other than apparently the fact that it really sucks to try and glue on. It paints up very nicely.
that is true. If it's
Oh,
thin and you break it, you're screwed, but it paints itself.
it's awful to glue. When I was trying to assemble my Helm Hammer hand, um, I had to re-glue and then shave off the old glue. I don't know how many freaking times,
Wow.
but yeah, it would not like no glue would take.
So,
Um,
have you tried washing your models before doing it?
uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, oh this is he was actually the first model I ever ordered off of Forge World. Um, but like I thought I had everything together and stuff like that, and I primed it, and I think I talked to Evan after the first time it fell apart. But like I assembled everything and I like let it cure overnight, thinking that that was the issue. Like I didn't let it sit long enough, so like 20 minutes would go by, and I would grab him, and like his arm would like slide off.
Right.
Go to prime him, come back the next morning after priming him to paint him, and I would go to pick him up, and I would look down, and his arm with the sword is sitting next to him. Like, son of a bitch, what is going on?
That's
So
crazy.
I literally got like this basically industrial strength super glue
Hmm.
that ended up working and worked like a charm, like no issues whatsoever anymore. But I turned on I don't know, some TV show on like Hulu or whatever, glued it, and then I just sat there and I just all my finger strength just squeezing it together, and I just sat there watching the TV show, just death squeezing Helm Hammer hand. And then after the show, like I had to like real careful because my fingers like got stuck
Stuck to the
to
glue.
the
Yeah.
model because it was just like holding onto it. So I just real slowly moved my fingers off and put them down. I didn't touch them for like a week, and then went through and painted them up, and he's still bumping, all attached.
That's
So
crazy because like I said earlier, I played Dunland, and so Dunland is a lot of Forge World stuff. The only thing I've really had a lot of issue with um, is stuff with small connection points. So the Crabine they have small connection points to get the birds to sit on top of the tree branches. Those are a pain just because of the fact that using the super glue, it takes a minute for it to dry, so you kind of got to set it up just right so that it can sit there without falling off. And then the other thing I had issue with was the Iron Hills Chariot. The horns on the Rams are, if you don't put them on before you put the Rams into place, then it's really hard to get the little tips of the horns on there because the fact that the Rams are so closely put together with the design. But I figured the remedy to that is just to simply put the horns on. But I've really never had much problem. I just use Loctite super glue. I wash everything really well in Dawn dish soap water, and then bathe it in cold water after that, and let it just air dry. And I've never had issues with Forge World stuff gluing together. So I
mm,
don't know. Try Loctite. Loctite super
The
glue.
biggest the biggest issue I ever had with gluing, I was a young hobbyist still, a grand total of like 4 months ago. And the first order I
so
ever
it's
placed,
always 4 months.
no, this was actually probably 4 months ago. Like this, like not when I was new. It was a little while after that because it took forever for the order to come. So this was actually probably 4 months ago. I could still be wrong. I don't remember.
If it's from Forge
But
World, that makes sense why it was 4 months ago and not 6 or 7.
yeah,
Yeah.
the first order I ever placed on Games Workshop
Oh,
was,
Games
I think it
Workshop,
was
of
like,
course.
yeah, it was GW. I got the Armies of the Hobbit book and then a bunch of stuff for Isengard. So I got like a pack of warriors, a pack of scouts, command packs, all that good stuff, crossbows, berserkers. And I didn't understand at the time that plastic glue, all I had was plastic glue. And I didn't understand that the plastic glue
Oh,
doesn't
yeah,
work for
I
the resin.
remember
Oh,
this.
yes. I made the same mistake.
Yeah, so I'm trying to put together these crossbowmen and it is not working. It took hours. I was at my wits' end. So I
The
finally just
entire
took it.
time my phone is blowing up with just tossing out these models, and I'm fucking laughing my ass off.
It got to the point where, in an act of desperation, and this didn't work, I just went and got super glue, and then obviously that worked. I took a butane torch and I tried to melt them together.
Oh my gosh. Did you really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and that didn't work. So I wound up gluing them. You can't tell if you look at them that they got butane torched, but I mean, you'll never see me put them on a table because I just don't play with Isengard. But yeah, so I tried to melt things together. That's my dumb thing. I was desperate. So
Kevin, have you ever tried to melt anything together? I can
I
honestly say
one
I've never tried to
one time.
melt things together. Okay, so I will say this. I have had a rage moment kind of like that. I didn't actually melt anything. So it was when I was still in Virginia, and like I said, all I was doing was collecting and building. So fiefdoms was the second army that I collected and painted up big after Easterlings. Um, so I was trying to assemble the old metal East or Knights of Dol Roth, and the arm with the lance has a very small connection point, even though it's the typical like peg in a socket type thing. Usually there's kind of like a connection point outside of that peg in the socket. Well, for whatever reason, these models just have a very small one. And I spent 2 hours trying to glue the same arm into the same guy using combinations of plastic paints and metal paints, and this is back when G Dub had like 3 different types of metal paints. One was like thick, one was like really runny, and one was somewhere in the middle. And I had all 3 of them trying to get these bastards to glue together. And it literally got to the point where it was so bad, and I was so frustrated after trying. Every time I did exactly what you talked about, Kevin. I held it in place, held it in place, held it in place, moved my finger away, and instead of gluing to the model, it had glued to my damn finger for 2 hours. I chucked the models across the room so hard that they actually stuck into the wall.
Jesus.
I almost threw the crossbows in the trash.
I will say that I'm glad my at that time girlfriend, who became my wife, did not just leave me right then and there, because I actually almost hit her when I did that, and she stormed out of our PPV of the PPV room I was staying in, which was barracks housing, and went back to her own barracks housing and didn't talk to me for 2 days. I had to get a pizza after that because I just needed to eat my feelings. I was so mad.
Feel that. Yeah, they almost went directly in the garbage, but super glue worked. So, and you can't. They're painted now, so you can't tell that there was an attempt to melt them together.
Those are your Isengard crossbowmen?
Yes,
See, I have all metal ones, so I didn't have that issue.
can't relate.
The one who I did have an issue with, because I just did Lurtz's Scouts recently, um, frickin' Maher. He's got those
That's the
two.
one people struggle with that I didn't. That one was easy for me.
Well, I didn't struggle with it. I really didn't until I started painting him. Because I do all my
Oh,
bases the same color. It's this like light brown color. It's a Testors paint from Michaels or Hobby Lobby or wherever. And usually I put it on kind of heavy when I go around the basing, just the edge of the base, because everybody has their own colors they use for the edge of the base. So what'll end up happening is when I do that, sometimes they'll stick to my piece of cardboard. You just kind of got to wiggle the model back and forth, and it'll come up. Well, he's got these 2 skinny ass little legs, and I guess I had just given too much paint, because that model was sticking hard to the cardboard that I literally ripped him in half at the ankles. And I was like, you son of a bitch, this plastic fine cash piece of crap. And
Those
now,
complaints I've heard for him are his swords.
I
Because
think
they've
that
got
was
those tiny little, yeah, that part was easy for me. But I've heard other people say the tiny little nubs just
Yeah.
weren't doing it.
no. Again, I use Loctite gel glue, ultra gel. I'm
Yeah.
looking at it right now. Loctite super glue, ultra gel control. I think it works great because it comes out in a gel form, so it helps keep just everything stick together. And then as it dries, it glues it. I just
Yeah.
use tweezers and a little dab of that, and then the swords went in perfectly. But ever since I broke him the first time at the ankles, he just I've unfortunately broken him twice more in that same spot, and each time it's just like, all right, scrape the old glue off, put the new glue on, get a little bit of the plastic in the meantime. So my Maher has slowly, over 3 gluings, worked himself to be a smaller version. So if you hold him up against somebody else's, it's not going to be super noticeable, but he's definitely like a good, I don't know, 3 millimeters or so smaller.
Have you tried melting him together?
I have not tried melting. I should probably try that. Then maybe he won't break at the ankles. That is a good one. I'm gonna have to remember that. Oh man. So I just lost my train of thought. I was about to ask my next question. I forgot it.
So
So
Yes.
this is why I'm not a news anchor. Well, of course, news anchors are easy. They just read off a teleprompter.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh crap! What was I gonna say? Oh, there we go. So I've kind of told you a little bit how my wife thinks significant others. I don't know about you, Kevin. I know Evan's got one. What do they think of your nerdy hobby?
So funny story. So it was her initial reaction. I really don't. It was weird. She like didn't care, which was shocking to me because it's like painfully nerdy. Like this is the kind of thing that I'm gonna be honest. If I was a single man, I don't believe I would talk about ever until they're emotionally invested because it's like it's there's almost times where I'm painting stuff and I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And then I think for a second, I'm like, you are painting a toy, you moron. Like, what are you doing? And like I talk to them. It's bizarre. It's actually I should actually probably have a psychological evaluation, but especially because I'll like pick up a little Nazgul and be like, oh little Nazgul, oh you're gonna get painted, and then I'm just like, you've got problems. So it was funny because I would buy all these things and like she doesn't know what I'm doing. She doesn't know how much they cost. And and they're not inexpensive. So
No, this hobby is far from it.
yeah. So it got to the point where I was going to all these tournaments and stuff, and she has no clue what the hell that means, and just doing all this nerd stuff. And then finally, around my birthday, there was like a random lazy Saturday that I was like, "Do you want to like play the game?"
Oh.
And she was like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I gave her her pick. She chose very very well, considering the fact that I told her nothing about either army. I don't think I might have told her that the Uruk-hai were stronger, but I don't remember. And because all I had at the time was Mordor and Isengard, and she was like, "Oh, I want these ones," and I'm like, "Of course you do," because so she takes. I didn't have any trolls for Mordor, and of course I had a troll for Isengard. So she takes Isengard, and she took like a decent mix of some scouts and some warriors with like lurts, a captain, a banner, a troll. And we just did like a super low points total, like, you know, super easy stuff. And I still barely knew what I was doing. And so we play this game and she annihilates my entire face. And so she hated it. And yeah, she hates it. We've played once since then, and she had a great time when it was going her way, but towards the end, she beat me regardless, but towards the end, I started killing some people, and it was just that look of, okay, she's done with this. And we've played one more time since then. She used Mirkwood Rangers, and I used Azog's Hunters, and super low points total, so I think she had Legolas and Tariel, and I just had like Narzug and Thimble or something. No, I didn't have any super big scaries. And we just kind of played a goofy game of Fog of War, and I won that one, so she hasn't played since. But the funny thing was, she asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I was like, well, there's some tiny plastic people that I wouldn't mind. And she was like, oh, okay, send me links of some stuff or whatever, and just send me a bunch of stuff so you can't guess what I'm getting you. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I sent her some stuff. I sent her like the Necromancer, some Blackguard of Barad-dûr that I needed, Thranduil on foot, just a bunch of random stuff that I needed that I didn't have. And so she buys, and I can't believe she bought so much out of sheer horror at the prices of these things. Luckily, I didn't ask her to buy anything crazy, like no Gundabads or anything that's like $65. But I had a very productive birthday as far as models because Hannah got me, oh, what'd she get me? The Necromancer, the 3-pack of Thranduil, like on foot and stuff,
Yeah.
and a Blackguard command pack and 2 packs of Blackguard. And then Kevin also wound up getting me the character series Azog and Thorin. So I had a very successful time on birthday models. But the funny thing is, even after that, I don't think that she realized just how much money I had in the closet. And there was this one day where I was talking about, I like placed an order and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to slow down. And she was like, oh, are you going to paint everything you have before you buy more stuff? And I was like, oh, yeah, Hannah, I'm going to paint $1,600 worth of models.
Did you really say that?
Yes.
Did her
And
jaw hit the
then
floor?
she about hit me. But so I think that's when she fully realized that this is basically a boat, just a hole in the water that I throw money into, because that's how Games Workshop gets you.
Yeah, that's
You
how
buy
it works.
you buy a couple things and you're like, oh, this is pretty good, and then like you want to make your army better, so you buy more things, and then you go, oh, that army's cool, and then it's just a never-ending cycle of I've spent $900 million on this in the last year. Good God, what am I doing?
There are
But
people that can actually somehow stop themselves. Like there are people who literally play like 3 armies and that's it. One good, one evil, and one for fun, and that's all they play. And I'm like, dude, do you realize how much you're missing out on this hobby? And
I
they're like,
had three
yeah, but I don't
armies when
have
I was
money. I'm
new.
like, who cares?
Yeah, I basically started with three armies.
Yeah.
But she's been pretty cool about it. I know she has expressed an iota of interest in going to tournaments, which will change 10 minutes into round one of the first tournament that she attends.
Yeah, she'll change
So,
her mind.
yeah. So I know that's not going to last, but she's pretty cool about it. So,
See, the fun thing about
she
go ahead, sorry.
She she thinks it's horrifyingly nerdy. She tries to claim that she doesn't like watching The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, but she's seen all 6 movies like 40 times
I
in
was
the
gonna say
last
when you
couple
force
months.
feed it down her throat.
Yeah, somebody asked her for some reason about like her favorite movie within the last couple weeks, and she said, I don't know, some chick flick, and I was just like, no, it's The Hobbit. You've seen it like 900 times this year. It's your favorite. And
She's sitting there going, "Yeah, because you make me watch it."
yeah, pretty much. But no, she's pretty cool about it, all things
Didn't
considered.
she quote what the Hobbit or something recently?
It's been a couple weeks, but yeah, no, she quoted Ballin in a conversation.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one?
Uh when when he's talking to Bilbo before Bilbo goes into Erebor to try and find the Arkenstone. We were talking about something, and I said something about the movie, and she was like, because I think I was about to turn it on, and she was like, I've seen it so many times that I've basically got it memorized. And I was like, no, you don't. You don't even pay attention. So I just randomly out of a hat picked like, oh, well, what does Balin say to Bilbo before he goes into Erebor to find the Arkenstone? And she just stopped doing what she was doing, looked me in the eyes, and she said, if there's a fire-breathing dragon down there, try not to wake it. And I was just like, oh my god.
So, did you get a pudgy? Because I know I would if my wife said that. I'm just saying.
No, I actually basically had a stroke because I was like, wow, I have forced you to watch that a lot because I thought for sure there was no way she would know what he said in that moment. And she did. But yeah, she's pretty cool about the whole thing, even amount of money spent. So
See,
I lucked out with that one.
my wife is willing to just let me spend the money because she knows that going to the events and stuff, it's good for one of two things. It'll either A, get me the hell out of the house for the weekend and she can watch whatever the hell she wants and do whatever she wants, or B, she can go along and actually hang out with, because she prefers, she's a tomboy and she prefers hanging out with guys. She can't stand hanging out with women because women are just, they're women. They're bitchy, they're whiny, they're backstabbing, they're conniving. So guys, I mean, we're pretty much straightforward. You know, we go to the bar, we order a beer, we check out the waitress. You know, we talk shit at each other.
Yeah, it's
But
easy.
she fits in just with that because I mean I met her in the Navy, so we both got that Navy humor, and yeah, I mean she enjoys going to events because it's not the during the event part that she cares about, it's the after the event part where
Yeah.
it's the whole hang out and chilling party thing that she enjoys. The whole conversation and chilling with the bros. I mean, she's pretty much a bro. She's just got boobs and a butt instead of, you know, a beard.
Feel that. Yeah, Hannah thinks she wants to go, and I know she's gonna change her mind.
Well, have her go to
Well,
DashCon at least. That way, if she does get bored, she can go home.
She can go home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
Yeah,
was gonna
that one
say,
will be
hell,
easy.
if the local small ones keep up how they were like this last one, I think there was what, 3 wives and girlfriends that came.
Oh yeah, Adams was there at one point. Ian's was there. Lee's wife was there. Yeah,
there were 4 significant others at RGS.
yeah. I know yours was there. Evans was there. Greg's was there, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And Lee's.
and Lee's. Yeah,
Liz was there.
Yeah, I was gonna say we hung out with Lee's as much as he did. We were with
yeah.
Lee's family as much as he spent time with his family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Apparently, the littlest Lee enjoyed getting to draw raffle tickets from what I read off of her post. From
Yeah, and he
Instagram.
also enjoyed it at Adams' tournament. He won his dad like 1 million awards
Oh my
or
gosh!
raffles.
So
Yeah.
so what you're saying is Lee's kid has the magic touch to let Lee win.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
Wow.
was drawn. It was so funny. We thought he was kidding because he had like 2 in a row that he drew and he laughed and said daddy. And we all laughed. We were like, oh, that's so cute. And then it kept happening. And Adam was finally like, what, are you serious? And he looked at the ticket and was like, my God, Lee, again.
Well,
Yeah, of all the people that had raffle tickets for the terrain, all of the terrain pieces went to 2 people
Lee.
and Kevin.
Oh, yeah, good job, Kevin. Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah.
Ugh, I should have known that since you
Hey.
said that. You said you got the bridge.
Yeah.
Also, I remember I went and got the business card. So the name of the company is Panhandle 3D.
Okay.
I have
Yeah.
not heard of them.
It's sick. The terrain's insane.
I will have to look them up and see if they wouldn't mind sponsoring one of my events next year.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
I like 3D printed terrain. The thing that I found with it is that it is larger in scale than G-Dub stuff, So if you try and mix it, you have a board that just looks goofy. And that's unfortunately what ended up happening at my Bree board is I mixed in a couple pieces of 3D printed terrain, and compared to the lake townhouses that I used that were supposed to be Bree townhouses, um, yeah, you can see the size difference. But a good board made of all 3D printed terrain looks really nice, which is what
Yeah.
my Fornost board is. And a good chunk of yeah, we have Osgiliath board. The Osgiliath board that's there is pretty much all 3D printed terrain now. So yeah, I like it. I like 3D printed. I'm not buying one. My wife said no. She firmly said no on that.
I just have no use for it because other people have it. So
Pretty much.
I'm trying to give y'all money. That's the same thing. Like people talk about 3D printing their own models, and I'm like, Dad, I don't even care.
No.
Here you go, British dudes. Here's a stack of cash. Give me stupid little plastic people, please. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I just roast the piss out of my poor models. I just call them little dumbasses and stuff, and I'm just like, it's no wonder I can't win.
Well, it's not them
I
that are
just
winning,
insult
it's the
them.
dice, so
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's not good either because I talk shit about my dice too. So.
except for apparently your Angmar dice.
Well, I made the mistake of using those for a good army. That didn't go well, but
Oh, yeah, you
yeah,
can't do that.
no.
What the
I just
hell,
figured
man?
I just figured they were there, and I have 10 of them, so I was like, here we
Nope,
go. It didn't go great,
nope.
but
You jinxed them. You jinxed them. And now that
oh
they're
no, I
dead,
didn't jinx
you're
them. I
screwed.
jinxed the. No, I've rolled with them since. They've been fine.
Oh,
They'll be
okay.
okay.
So they're not too mad
You
at
said that.
Yeah, no, they'll be all right. As long as I use an evil army, they'll be fine.
That's funny. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So let's see. You guys, you talked about Kevin. You're doing an event in September. You said you want to talk about that a little bit. Do a little advertising.
Uh, sure. I mean, it's still in the works. But I have a basic idea for it. Um, so I know Evan, and then I'm sure that you have played Battle Companies before, right?
Yes.
So you know the map in the back of the book of Battle Companies. It's Middle Earth, and there's territories and everything like that.
Yeah, the campaign map. Yeah.
So it's gonna be individual and team based. So there's gonna be good versus evil, and everybody is gonna get a starting location. And during your matchups, you are conquering territories. If you win, you get a territory. If you lose, well, you're SOL. Um, so that's gonna factor into whatever team wins. So say, because I'm biased towards good, if they conquer more territories on the map, then the good side will win. And then there's going to be a prize. I've actually picked it out. It's actually really cool. Evan has seen it hanging up in my house before. That map I have by the front door.
Yes.
So that's going to be the team prize.
Nice.
But I don't want to give it away because I know that some people in our group listen. So I don't want to give away a prize on here. But so yeah, that's gonna be like the team prize. So it's gonna have everybody, you know, getting like we're all involved in each other's games in our group anyway. Like everybody's always cheering, but it's gonna add a little bit more into it. And I feel like there's gonna be more support and more roasting going on than we usually have. So, and then there's going to be, the typical, everybody's going to be fighting for individual rankings, also. So I'm going to have to come up with a good way. So then it's not like, if it's all evil or all good, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're going to be fighting each other and can't have that happen. So it may come down to a round robin kind of thing. for matchups. So like everybody plays everybody at lower point total. And then the tournament points will be coming out of that.
Right.
But yeah, there's going to be different bonuses that you can get depending on like all the battles are going to be themey. So it's not going to be, you know, game altering effects that are going on, but like say, you know, there's a battle up in the north somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
or like in the mines of Moria or whatever like that. So there's going to be like limited vision because, you know, it's dark, or it's, you know, a blizzard outside, stuff like that going on to kind of alter it. And then I'm still kind of going back and forth on it, but like the final game, or yeah, like the final game of the event, kind of have it come to a climax with like, you know, Battle of the Last Alliance or Battle of the Black Gate, where it's going to be all the participants. Like it's going to be smaller, like 8 to 10 people tops is what I want. Like absolute max. um, it's my first one, and I want to keep it a little bit smaller to try to get all the kinks out.
Hey,
But then
people, so I mean, that's usually the best
yeah.
way to start.
But then what I want to do is write up cards that are like secret objectives, and there's going to be like a bigger board, like we'll get, you know, like type board, stuff like that together, so it's the terrain all flows, and build a big board, and then each card that I hand out, you know, there's going to be, each player is going to get a unique objective, and it's just going to be given out at random. So it's not necessarily like you're going to be paired up with the person across the table from you. Like you may have to split your arm, like you may have to capture, you know, hill A, B, and C or something like that for like a whole ground kind of thing. So you have to like you'll get points if you collect, like if you capture your objectives, or if like there's a card in there that's like an assassination one, you find a, you know, enemy hero and you have to go assassinate them, or, you know, stuff like that. And just kind of like
It sounds a lot like
give it.
Chaos and Arda. Have you ever played Chaos and Arda?
No, I haven't. But I've heard a lot about that, where like everybody's kind of doing different things, and like you have
Yeah. It's the
special
same.
rules and everything like that. So
It's similar to that. Everybody gets dealt, I think it's like 4 or 5 cards or something, and then each card has different like victory point conditions, and then each turn you're trying to achieve the cards in your hand. So if you achieve like say 3 of them, then you get those 3 points, whatever they're worth, because each one is worth different amount. Like harder ones to achieve are worth more, easier ones are worth less. And then at the end of the turn, you cash them in, and then collect again up to like 4 or 5 cards in your hand. And then there's chances throughout the turn. Like I think it's like between each phase, if you want to, you know, discard a card, because there's like say for example, if you're playing an army and it says, you know, shoot a bow, but your army has no bows, well then you can discard that because there's absolutely no way that you can achieve that. So
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of sounds like what you're going for. Something similar to that. It's just like different secret objectives that you're trying to achieve, and then when you achieve them, you get the points for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool idea. I played Chaos and Arda in Nashville with what's his name, David Centile. David Centile. I think his name's David. Can't remember.
Bearded guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Him and Austin, and it was actually funny because it's kind of like, again, like you said, you have 4 players on a table, and so the 3 of us were playing, and those 2 ended up doing nothing but fighting each other all game while trying to get their objectives, and I just sat on the opposite side of the board and got all these like passive objectives, and ended up winning the game because of it. Like the final score was like, I think Dave had like 8, and like Austin had like 6, and then I had like 20 because I just did all of it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards in there that are like really passive, where you just kind of have to literally sit there and do nothing, or, you know, just have a guy do one thing, like run across the board this way, or move that way or jump over something or take some test or whatever. And that's literally what I would do the entire time instead of going and getting into combat. So I ended up collecting like 3 or 4 objectives every single turn that we played, and we played for like, I don't know, a 2-hour game or something. So it was fun. So it kind of sounds like something similar to what you're trying to do. So I think that'd be pretty badass.
Yeah, I'm hoping. So we'll see, I guess.
I'll
So
tell you what. You got a good support group there with Nashville. They won't let you down. They'll show up and turn out. And worst case scenario, they'll all yell at you and tell you you suck. No, I'm just kidding. They won't do that. They won't do that. Evan might, but the rest of the
I mean that's normal anyway. So I'm
go.
pretty sure, you know, just us making sure each other's okay is a roast session. So
Mostly, yeah.
That's hilarious. I can sense the brotherly love.
I've never met him in my life. What do you mean?
Some battle buddy you
That's-
are.
Yeah, I do my best.
It's all right. I do the same thing to my guys here. I roast the hell out of Joe and Dan. If I don't, who else is going to do it? You know.
I'm a pretty nice guy. It depends how I'm feeling, how much I roast, honestly.
See, people think I'm nice, but I mean, I've been my last 2 events. I won best sportsman at both of them, and I'm just like, what is wrong with you people? Who is?
I'll never
voting
win
for
that.
best sportsman. I am not a good sportsman. I'm an asshole. What is wrong with you folks?
Yeah, I'll never win that. And it's not even because I'm mean when I play. It's just I feel like, to me, best sportsman, the best sportsman award, the person I think of automatically is Ezra Wood, who is excited when he's doing bad.
Oh my god, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it was a
And that's
it was a
just
riot
not
when we
me.
were having our dwarven civil war go on, because like there was one point where Thorin's warband surrounded one of his warbands, and it was just like one turn I killed everybody except for his I think it was a captain who ended up like huffing it away. And I was like, oh man, good job. I was like, buddy, I just killed like 5 of your dudes. Be upset.
Yeah, bad things happen to me, and I'm just like, nah.
You're probably
Yeah,
like
so I ain't
cursing,
never.
cursing and just screaming and like, what the hell? See, I do that.
Well,
But apparently, people like that. I don't know. People are weird.
Yeah, I don't know. If you win it doing that, then maybe I will win it, because half the time I'm just like, I'm to the point now where I will tell my opponent, like, I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad. Yeah. Because I don't want people to think, because like when bad things start happening and like they're chained together and like everything's going wrong, I know for a fact that I am clearly infuriated. And I don't want everyone to think I'm a dick.
Yep.
So I'll just tell them, I'll just be like, hey man, like, I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad.
I made up these dice that won't go higher than a 2.
Yeah, exactly. Well, generally it's a 3, but yeah.
Mine's usually
Yeah,
a
when
one.
my dice are bad, it's not 1s, it's 3s.
Mine's 1s. I went to an event in May, and the first round I played against Josh Parrish, and in the last turn we had 6 1-1 ties.
Wow.
And then I had banners.
Wow.
I had banners in 3 of those, and bannered the 1, 2, another 1.
You need to throw those dice in the garbage.
Yeah, I would, but they're my Isengard dice, and I thought they were going to do good for me. So, of course, then I was rolling for the roll-off, and you would think that after rolling a 1 and a 1 that I would continue to roll low. No, I'd roll a freaking 6. And since he's good, he takes it high and wins the roll-off. I was like,
That makes sense.
son of a... What the hell? And I got
Yeah.
best sportsman at that event. I was like, why?
Well, that's because you didn't smash anything.
Hulk was close to smashing.
I almost can't believe I didn't win Best Sportsman at Adam's tournament, because it was just awful thing after awful thing, and I didn't light anything on fire. So
Yeah, and yours and Jake's game, he was just like, because what, your game was over in 2 turns or something? He's like, we can just restart. You're like, no, I'm good.
Yep. Yeah, I actually had an opponent in a game table me with sentient floating fire, And he just looked at me at one point and was like, I mean, if you want to just play again, I was like, no, I don't want to do
Don't do
that.
that anymore.
Yeah. Oh, what? Replay so the same thing can happen? No, thank you.
I appreciate the love, but I don't love this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bad one.
I feel the pain in that.
Hmm.
Oh.
I tell you though, I got to start losing again. I need to go back to my home in the middle of the pack because when I was playing, of all people, Ian for second place, I was just stressed. Like,
I told you, it's
I
not
need to
that
like
fun.
throw one game, so then the highest I can get is like fourth or fifth. So then I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's like RGS. It's like, oh, Evan, you won. Did you have fun? I mean, sort of.
Can I count the gray hairs beforehand? No. Can you count the gray hairs afterwards? More like, where are my brown hairs I used to have? They're not nothing but gray now.
Yeah, I was just stressed out for 8 hours.
Uh, that's hilarious. I will say, um, the one event that I placed, like a big event, because I've got a few first place like wins, but a lot of them are smaller. Um, the one that was a big event that I think had 26 people was in DC area, and the first game was against a guy who I was friends with, and I'm not gonna lie, it was Lords of Battle, so you can count wounds. I was playing pure fiefdoms with. This was under the old edition. I was playing pure fiefdoms with. And this is the first time I actually won and podiumed. I was playing pure fiefdoms with Fellowship Boromir allied in, so he could have 6 more points of might. And that was back when you could do it without having to worry about alliances. And we're playing Lords of Battle, and I totally gamed him because he would fight me, he'd win, and I'd be like, okay, you want to strike the rider? And he'd be like, yeah, I want to strike the rider. And even though he's wounding the rider and the horse on the same thing, if he strikes the horse, then he gets an extra point for Lords of Battle for wound tallies. So at the end of the game, it ends, and I've broken him, and I'm unbroken, and I've wounded his leader, and I have the higher uh, kill tally, but it's only by like 5 or 6. And there was one point where he was out killing me or out wounding me, and I show him the tallies, and he's like, "How many of your mounted guys did I kill?" And I was like, "Oh, 5 or 6." And he's like, "I see what you did there." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You're like every time it was against one of your horsemen, you're like, you want to strike the rider, right?" And I was just like, "Yeah, sure, I'll strike the rider." And if I'd stricken your mounts, then I would have actually tied you. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I really don't. So
Oh my god.
Boom, roasted.
I won that one. It ended up being a major too because of this victory conditions. And then I won my second game was against Isengard again, and I did pretty good against Isengard that day. And the guy was he was nice, but he'd gotten like a really good matchup in round one and won really well. And he was he's a cool guy. He's a nice guy. I don't like to talk down on people, but he's not one of the most competitive players. So I was playing on the top table at that point. I was playing on the number 3 table, and I'm like, if I win this and I win it with a major, I have a chance to play for like first, second, or third and stay up here. So I went hardcore and got another major victory. So then I'm in round 3 and I'm playing on the top table for first place, and I'm going against one of my best friends, and I'm just like, ah, shit. Now I gotta play. Now I gotta play hard, but like not too hard because I don't want to like piss him off. And we both looked at each other and were like, "Is this your first time up here on the top table?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, oh, "Okay." And we weren't really even thinking too much about it, so we just started playing. And it wasn't until like the end of the game that that conversation came up. And by that point, I already won the game because it was seized a prize, and I grabbed the objective and gotten it on his side of the board. So I won. I won the event with 3 major victories, and there were 2 other guys that had that went undefeated. But it was just like RGS. So like Evan, you went 3-0, but you had 2 majors and a minor victory, and so
Yeah.
did the third place guy. And that's exactly what happened at the event I won. I had 3 major victories. Well, the second and third place guy had more victory points, but they'd only accrued 2 major victories and a minor victory, where I had 3 majors. So tournament point standing, I outranked them. And I was just like, holy shit, I just won this event. How did I win this event? What just happened? And my wife was there, and like I finished my third game, and she came over. And she's like, "So how did it go?" I was like, "This is the top table." She's like, "Yeah, what's that supposed to mean?" I was like, "I won." She's like, "Okay, cool." I said, "No, I won." She's like, "The event?" I was like, "Pretty sure." She's like, "No." I was like, "Yeah." it, it was crazy.
I haven't done
That's
that
awesome.
yet.
I mean, you got close there. 3-0 is
I
nothing to
did.
laugh at. I mean, you basically went undefeated at the event.
Yeah, it was all right.
That was the first time as a TO that I've had a round 3 literally decide all the placings. All of you guys playing in round 3 on like the top tables. You know, I don't put tables. You know, number one. My number one table isn't where the top 2 people are. I just put people wherever. But the top 6 players were all 2-0 going into round 3. It was crazy. It's the first time I've ever had that happen.
You're welcome.
No, you're welcome because you did a good job.
Ow! Oh shucks! Stop it.
I mean, obviously, I set it up for you to have a good showing, so 6 of y'all could go 2-0.
Yeah, it went all right. I did okay.
And then Kevin over here letting you down, being in the middle of a pack.
Yeah, I got what?
14th.
Yeah, 14th.
That's not bad.
No, it was the first game that really did it for me. But that's a whole other story.
Oh yeah, you were playing against Tim.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Well, you and Tim did very good together. You both got 1 win and 2 losses. You both had 5 tournament points. And then he had 1 more victory point than you, so he scored 13th over you.
Yeah.
So you guys were
Yeah,
matched
so
up even in standings.
I went from a major loss, which was upsetting to start my day off with that, to tabling somebody, and that was insane because I've never done that in a tournament before then. Like I've done it in friendly games, but never
Oh,
competitively.
you tabled him?
Yeah,
Like all his models?
yeah.
Dude, that's a 12-0 win.
Oh,
Yeah. It says it somewhere in one of the rule books that if you table your opponent, that it's a 12-0 win.
neat. I know that people in our group have talked about it being 12-0, but usually, because I mean, we play smaller tournaments, and typically, um, unless like it's a deciding factor for like um ranking or something like that, it's just like, okay, it's typically 10-0, 11-0, 12-0 anyway. So
Right.
and I think we've only run into tabling on the smaller ones anyway, like the smaller points. I don't know, I can't really speak
Yeah.
for everyone, I
It's
guess.
usually more likely on smaller events than larger events.
Yeah,
Unless you're going
yeah,
against some ridiculously overpowered army that can just run you over and you don't see it coming.
yeah.
Am I dropping too many hints? I think it's
But
Evan's
what?
like least favorite army that he's ever seen.
Oh man.
Which one?
When you just get run over by a really annoying army, you get tabled by
Stop it.
it.
I
Bro,
never
they're
even had to
talking
play
about
it.
pond in their chariots. What are you talking about?
I beat them.
Oh yeah, you did. That's right. In round
Yeah.
I
three.
The
lost to them.
chariots were actually completely worthless because I killed them within 3 turns.
Yeah, I don't think you used them.
I
Right?
gave him too much confidence, so he just ran them straight at you, and you were just like, nope.
Yeah, Thimble took 1 and Bolg took 2.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't
That
run you over more because the strength 4 hits on defense 4 guys, needing forged to wound, I would have thought that he'd have run over a good portion of your army.
Yeah, he killed a few, but he just positioned them bad. So the hunter orcs that he ran into with the first one, he killed a couple.
Yeah.
But after that, the dude was basically stuck, and then he got pinned in place by Fimble. Fimble and the hunter orcs killed him, and then the other two, one of them, he ran into one guy, failed to kill him. Bolg had just ran into one because I won priority and killed it. And then I won the next priority and just moved Bolg right into the next one, killed that one too.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he was a little reckless with him.
Kevin, who did you play in round 3?
Greg.
Evan.
Yeah. Were you asking me?
No, Kevin. No, Kevin, you
Oh.
played Mike. Never mind.
In round 3, I played Mike.
Yeah.
That was a really close game, and that literally came down to the final dice roll. Because it was the one where I always get the scenarios mixed up, but it's the one where you get points for the wounds or the kills that heroes cause.
It's a contest.
And yeah, so Imrahil and Theoden both had 3 going into the last turn, and like everything, like we were just tied across the board. So I was like, okay, like if he doesn't kill anybody and I don't kill anybody, it's a draw. I'm good. If he kills somebody and I don't, I lose. If I kill somebody and he doesn't, I win. So let's do this. Imrahil gets a kill. So I'm like, okay, Theoden needs to kill somebody. So he ended up charging in the combat. I won the duel roll against 2 guys. On the charge, they were prone. And I was like, I can do this. No problem.
Yeah, 6 dice.
I needed
2
5s.
Strike on the other.
I needed 5s. I was out of might because I burned everything. I got a 3 high on every single dice.
Oh my god.
And I was like,
oh my god.
All I needed was 2 5s on 6 dice.
You're one of the guys.
And I would have won.
So you remember, Evan, when we did the pre-event recording, and you were asking me what's one of the things I want to see at the event, and I said I just want to see somebody throw some really shitty dice. Your boy Kevin did that for me there in at the end of round 3. Oh my god.
Round 3 is time expired on the last dice roll of the evening.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I know you said that you wanted, like, if we did something like that, to call you over for a picture, but I just stared at my dice bin, and I looked up at Mike, and he's like, "Oh, you got a button?" I was like, "No." He's like, "What?" So I showed him. He's like, "Oh man."
Oh, dude. And Mike is a chill guy too. He was probably just like, "Fuck, man, that sucks."
Yeah.
That's probably like exactly what I bet he said too, and I could just picture him saying it in his voice.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's crazy. I'd like to say that I got revenge for you the following week at Atlantic City, because he's the one who actually invited me, and he and I played in round 1, and he was playing Angmar against my Dunlin, and I had him beat the entire game. I was up the entire game, even against Angmar. And then the last turn and a half, my dice just decided they didn't know how to roll anything higher than a 3. A 3 of all things. And I ended up losing the damn game. I was winning. If the game had ended on the second to last turn, I would have won 6-1. But it had to go one more turn, and I lost 6-1. All my points that I scored, my advantages swung onto his side. I was like, son of a... And there's literally nothing you can do about that. It's just a dice game. It just rolled. It rolled the wrong way for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a dice game. You could have the greatest strategy with the best army ever seen on the table, but if you're rolling,
Hot trash.
2s, you're not going to win anything.
Yeah, you're looking for box cars, and you're not getting them. Box cars are great. Like when I was on the blackjack table the night before, it was great when the dealer was dealing herself box cars. But when you're not getting box cars in a dice game, yeah, sucks. Oh well. So I got one last question for y'all, and then I will leave you alone for the rest of the evening.
All right.
You guys have started just recently, doing events and going to events. You've traveled to obviously the Carolinas. Have you traveled anywhere else for events yet outside of Tennessee?
No. We were gonna go down to Gigabytes, but it was like, Evan, what was it? Like a 12-hour heads up you gave me for it?
Yes, if that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was for I think it was for a Saturday event, and Evan texted me when I was at work at like 7 or 8 or something like that. And he's like, "Hey, they got 2 openings for Gigabytes tomorrow. John's going down. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "What?
No.
That is a like 3.5-hour drive. I get off at 11."
That's not that bad.
And well, I was like, "What time is it at?" He's like,
8
10
a.m.
o'clock. So I'm like, okay, so that's going to be 9 o'clock our time. It's like a 3.5-hour drive. I'm going to have to go home, shower, change,
Get up at 4.
get my models, send a text of a list that's coming down, and then like we were thinking about it, we're like, that's kind of silly. Maybe the next one that we can actually like plan out and like maybe I can get the day off work.
Yeah. That does seem pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah, because it would have been a couple hours of sleep for me, and then I would be on my feet, all day long. I mean, Gigabytes is awesome, but I would just, I would not have fun, I think, if I went to that one.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So,
I've been to Gigabytes once. I went to one of their events. It wasn't bad. It's a pretty cool place.
okay.
Yeah. But I don't.
When I was,
I don't think there's as many. I don't think they have any chairs around the gaming tables, which is something I'm not a fan of. I think if you have gaming tables, you should definitely have chairs, especially for fat fuckers like me who are broken from the military. My knees can't stand standing for more than like an hour, and if you don't have
yeah.
if you don't have a chair for me to sit on, I just feel like that's bad customer service and bad TOing. Let the fat man sit down with his broken knee. I sacrificed 4 years of my life for this country so you can play with little plastic figures. At
Oh
least
my
you can give me
God.
a little plastic chair to sit on. Just a little plastic chair.
I feel that.
All right.
When
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's a good place though.
when I was younger, when I played back in high school, I used to go to Games Day in Chicago, because that's where I grew up in the suburbs over up there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a reason I'm not there anymore.
One winter there was
But
enough for me.
far too many winners, far too many
I feel you, bro.
stupid people. Yeah, that's a whole other story though.
Yeah, we can talk about that for hours.
Yeah. But yeah, I went to Games Day, and that was, I mean, it was a Games Workshop event, and I think it was at the, oh man, I can't remember what convention center it was at, but it was huge. And it was 40K Warhammer Fantasy, so like pre Age of Sigmar and Lord of the Rings. And they had like tournaments there, and then they had like open play tables, painting contests, raffles, different like just random games set up. So like
Trying out and,
what's yeah. But that was always a good time, and that was a multi-day event. So I mean, it was definitely focused on like 40K because, Games Workshop is obsessed with that.
naturally.
Yeah. So like everybody got a limited edition model with your ticket purchase, and of course it was a Space Marine.
Yep.
So I immediately sold that for a fat chunk of change.
There you go.
But I mean that's pretty much the only place like I've played in Tennessee, Carolina, Alabama down at John's tournament,
Right.
and then Chicago. That's about it for me.
Evan, I'm thinking you must be in the same boat then, minus Chicago. Well, maybe even with Chicago.
No, pretty much the only. I know we obviously traveled for RGS. We went just a few hours south to John's place for a tournament, but that's still part of the Nashville group, so that doesn't really count.
You get to cross the state border. I'll count it.
Okay, 6. So then we've done 2. But yeah, obviously I like doing all the stuff here.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely looking at I know there's one I think John's interested in going to in Texas. I want to go to that one. I'm looking at yours in July. I'm looking at the one in Asheville in the fall. I'm interested in Roberts up in the DC area.
Yep.
Some gigabyte stuff going on. So I just need to travel for as many decently sized tournaments as possible, since apparently those are the only ones I succeed in. And yeah, so
we also have to go down to Texas whenever Austin.
when Austin
was
has
his-
one in College Station, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say
It's going to be
that-
a whole bunch of people from our group, and then like the handful of people that Austin's recruiting down there.
So I've traveled. I've been to a good many places for events. I've been to Nashville. I've been to Atlanta. I've been to the DC area, and then DC itself for Nova. And I've been to Pennsylvania, and now I can add New Jersey for Atlantic City to that list. Definitely plan on going once Austin gets up and running down there and gets a group going. He starts events. I'll take that flight down there to see him. I know my wife would love to go, so yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list. I guess my question would be, since I kind of figure you guys probably hadn't traveled a lot, what would be like a bucket list event that you could go to potentially, or just an area to go visit for an event?
So
I would like to.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to stop sucking, and I know that this is never going to happen, ever, no matter what, but I think it would be cool. I want to play at Articon.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's my little sad boy I'm never going to get to do it thing that I want to do.
Yeah, that's like I would love to play at Articon, but just going in general, like just even if I mean, I'm probably never going to be that good because it's, you're representing a large mass of people who play this game. But like just to go, because I know at least in years past, like you can go, like you're not part of the big boy tournament, but like there's other stuff that you can do, and like you can spectate and everything, and it's a big community. There's a lot of outreach stuff. There's a lot of different podcasts. Both you guys have your own shows. There's a lot of people on social media that put up, battle reports and painting tutorials, and they all go to that stuff too, whether they're playing or they're just hanging out and wherever it's being held at that time. So
yeah, I agree. Well, the great thing about Archon, like you said, if you're not doing the GT, there are, I think, 6 different events. Chaos and Ardor, I talked about that earlier with the cards. That's an event that's done there. Doubles is done there, and then I think there's Greatest Warband is one of them, where it's like you guys talked about 150 points, like a small warband number, like 200, something like that. And then you just play I think 6 games in a day, like half-hour games or whatever, hour games, and knock that out. But there's a whole lot of little events there. I mean, that's one that I personally would also like to go to as well. So we could definitely add that on the bucket list. What about closer to home? What about here in the U.S.? Is there one that just some big event or just a group of people you've heard of that are like, hey, these guys sound like they put on good events, Yes, you can say me again. I'm not humble at all. What can I say?
well, I'm going to be kind of biased. I mean, this is obviously the first year that I've been in this group, but everybody has talked about March on Music City, about how, it's one of the biggest in the country. And, even during COVID, they still had a decent turnout and everything like that. And I know that we're losing Austin, and he was a big part of it, but I feel like if we all put our heads together, we can still have a successful like event that can get national recognition in the community.
Yeah.
So
Well, the communities kind of know what the big one is for all of them. So, for example, March on Music City is the big one. I'm kind of curious though, because the fact that you guys have NashCon going on, I kind of thought that that would be when you did March on Music City this year, but it sounds like the plan, from what I'm seeing based on the postings, is that you're going to do March on Music City in November, December time, like normal, and then also have NashCon in August. So I hate to be that guy, but I will say you're probably going to lose some attendees. I myself, I can't make both of them. So it's either
yeah.
or, and I'm choosing NashCon just because I'm not going to have any time off to take in November. So I'll just take my holiday time that I have, and that'll be it. I would love to come, but with it being, with they're less than 3 months apart, basically.
Hmm.
I don't know. I thought maybe in the future that was the plan, was to put March in Music Studio at NashCon. But either way, you got two pretty big events going on there. Um, but
I
yeah,
think with NashCon, since we're considered like the low interest game, it's like us.
right.
It's because 40K is going to be there, AOS is going to be there, Bolt Action will be there. I think Flames of War will be there, and then there's a couple other games, and then it's like us and the what is it, Marvel or DC, whichever the superhero one is that has
Yeah,
a tabletop game
I
now.
think it's Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't quote me
But
on
we're considered like the low interest game for whatever reason. Probably because of the 40K people who told me to stop asking about Lord of the Rings on the Games Workshop page, even though it's a Games Workshop product. But that's a whole other story.
that.
Um,
It's funny that you say that. They always call us the low. So I'll go back a couple years. We're talking about, big name events. So Ringo South is the big name event for the Carolinas. Everybody knows that it's going to be in the Charlotte area. The first year it wasn't, but ever since then it's been in the Charlotte area, Charlotte Concord area, so you can fly in, get to it really quick, really easily. We had 20 people in 2018 or 19, 2019. 2020 was unfortunately a bust, but we expected more. And then this year we had 24. So in 2019, we did it with this thing called Carolina Crusade, which was a 40K event. It was a 200 person 40K event. They did it at the Embassy Suites, which is right next to where I did Ringo South this year, right next to the Hampton Inn. But
mhm.
it's got the nice vaulted ceilings like you would see in a convention hall, because that's what they have. They had the convention halls. So we had a corner room, and we had 1/4 of the space. We had 12 tables set out, and we had 20 people show up. And Austin played in that, I played in that, John Billy played in that. Austin did really good, and I got fourth, he got fifth. He and I played on the top table in the fifth round because it was a 2-day event, and we tied each other. And if either one of us had scored a single victory point, we would have won third. Yeah, so we literally 0-0'd each other out of podium. But hey, that's okay. But the point is these 40K guys had 3 times the amount of space, had 10 times the amount of players at 200 to our 20, and their tables were absolute dog shit.
Oh yeah, they're trash.
They literally were just like foam boards, and the guy cut out little chunks and made 2 little towers, because they play on the 4x6s, and made 2 little like towers in the middle, and then put 2 little things on the side. No basing, no paint. It was straight up MDF foam board. And all these 40K players for 2 days kept coming over and being like, "Oh wow, I know exactly where that's from," by looking at our boards. Because like you said, our boards immerse you in the game. You can look at our boards and go, "Oh hey, yeah, that's a Rohan board. Oh hey, yeah, that's Osgiliath. That's Gondor. Oh hey, that's Isengard." So for 2 days, these guys just kept pouring into our room. And the be all end all was like 200 people showed up for that event in day 1. 75 of them returned for day 2, because of how shitty the put together was.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's hilarious to me every time I hear, oh yeah, Lord of the Rings is the low interest game. And then when you get there, nobody can keep their eyes off of our boards because they're so damn good. And our armies are so well painted. So it surprises me. It annoys me when people say that. But then I also get that little of pride when they're coming over and ogling our stuff.
Yeah, like I know that AOS has their models have a lot more detail, like per model,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like our stuff, I think just generally looks better because like I follow a lot of different people who do different games. So like on social media, so like some of the people that I follow, they do AOS, 40K, bolt action, some games that I don't even know what they are, but they just look cool. And then like D&D stuff, like painting the models for D&D,
Love D&D.
and like yeah. But the AOS stuff, it's definitely model per model is more detailed, but I think the overall like quality and especially basing, Lord of the Rings definitely takes the cake on it, I think, because a lot of AOS stuff and 40K, it's just like I'm going to spend all my time on the model, and then they're going to be on the standard black plastic base.
Yeah,
I'm not even going
I've
to put
seen
like
lot
a
of
little
that.
bush on there. So
I've seen a lot of that. Hell, I mean, the Lord of the Rings community has its own like niche in the market for basing based off of what we do.
hmm
So that's crazy. But yeah, I think that's a great one. Yeah, I think it'll be easy for you to get to March on Music City.
yeah.
So
So I guess at NashCon they only gave us like a 20 people
yeah,
because of our low interest. But Evan, what was it? Like we got to like 16 people in the first 24 hours.
mm-hmm.
I don't even think it was 24.
I was one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, like Austin put it up and like our group chat just exploded with, yeah, I'll be there, I'll be there, I'll be there. And they're like, I bought my ticket like probably 5 minutes after I saw the post go up. And then I told Evan to buy his ticket and he's like, well, I'll get it like tomorrow or something. I'm like, well,
Might
there may not be a
any.
ticket
Yeah.
available.
Well, see, that's great. I mean, that goes back to what I've been saying this whole time. So you guys have a great community where you've already pretty much bought up all the tickets for an event, and just doing that gives you the leverage to go in and be like, look, man, you need to give us at least twice the amount of space next year because our locals only bought 15 of our 20 tickets, 16 of our 20 tickets, whatever. And then nobody from outside of the states could come and get, or outside of the state could get it. So you're trying to have it at this hotel and bring people in to pay for your hotel rooms, and you can't even do that because you restricted us in space. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why we're planning on doing both events just because I've heard people talking about March on Music City
yeah,
shooting for like double the people at NashCon,
yeah, you should be able
and
to
it
get
would
that.
just be us. So, but like right now, it's mainly Nashville. I mean, we got people from a whole bunch of different groups in our group chat. I'm pretty sure you're in our Nashville group chat.
I am not. No,
Oh, you're not? Okay.
no. I stay out of
But
other groups' group chats because my opinions are not needed in those group chats since I don't play in those groups. I figure every the one thing I've learned is every area has their own kind of local meta. And if
yeah,
you're not in that area, you shouldn't be giving your 2 cents on that local meta.
I gotcha. But yeah, I mean, we got you coming into town, and then we got a couple people from Atlanta coming in, and I think maybe somebody from Chicago.
I wouldn't be surprised. Probably Victor.
Okay.
He likes to
Um,
travel for events.
yeah,
So.
but I mean, like that's our allotted space at a tabletop convention,
Yeah.
which it kind of sucks that we have like they gave us no room whatsoever.
Well,
But I don't know.
I think it's a
Like,
good sign for the community though, because in years past, a 20-person max event might get 14 to 16. Now it's selling
yeah,
out like that. So it's a good sign for the community. Plus, COVID kind of helped that. A lot of people are itching to go, so a lot of people are willing to travel. That's just like me. I should not be traveling to like Atlantic City or even honestly to Nashville this year or anywhere, but I want to because I didn't get to do it
Yeah.
last year. So, damn the paying off the debt and finances. I'm going to work the extra overtime and squeeze the pennies to make it happen. I will sleep in my car if I have to, but I will be going to events.
The mood.
So I'm hoping that once Austin gets everything all up and running down in Texas for his area, I know there's a couple different cities that have groups, but I think Austin is going to be kind of trailblazing around College Station. So I know that whenever he does host his first event, there's going to be a bunch of us going down there. So even if he can, if there's 4 people from Texas that go to it, but they see, 6 to 10 of us come in from Nashville, maybe it will kind of show them that like, hey, there is a bigger community than you think there is.
Oh, yeah,
So
just
it
in
would,
Texas alone, there's a whole bunch because I know that there used to be, I think, 3 or 4 little communities, and now they're all trying to get together with one community to run little events in each of the different areas. I mean, that's where Greg's coming from one of those, and then he's working with Charles Turek as well. So it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have when there's more communities than you realize, because that means there's more people playing.
Yeah, and I think we just absorbed the Clarksville group. I mean, it was only a couple guys, but I remember one day on the group chat, somebody was like, "Hey, welcome, these guys from Clarksville that play."
Yeah, that's a good thing. Well, and see, that's the other thing is because you guys like the Nashville quote unquote group, but you guys have you've reached out to everybody in Tennessee, and that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
It's like as long as folks are willing to drive a little bit. I mean, that's like here in the Carolinas, in North Carolina in particular, where I'm at, is like unfortunately the Charlotte area scene has died out. I mean, in 2.5 years, you guys have been building folks. In Charlotte, in the last 2.5 years, we've lost 12 players, either to people quitting or moving away, or they literally just disappeared off the face of the frickin' earth and we can't get in contact with them anymore. And the sad side to that is like there's less folks for me to play locally outside of Dan and Joe, and then Dan just moved to Raleigh, which is a 3-hour hike from where I live. But we've got these other little areas that have popped up with the Fayetteville group being 3 hours east, and then Chad Dickinson and John Stokes out west from me about an hour and a half in the Asheville area. So it's great that those communities are looking to do events because the Fayetteville group is constantly doing stuff. They have weekly game nights and lots of little local fun stuff. Hell, you guys are doing, I think, your practice event for NashCon on July 17th, and on July 17th in Fayetteville, they're running their War of the Rings scenario for the Battle of Pelennor Fields. So
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. And then, of course, you've already mentioned it earlier. Chad is doing his event, his 2-day event in October. So, I mean, I'll see you guys at NashCon, and then a month or so later, I'll see you guys in Asheville.
Yeah.
Yup.
You're going to be sick of seeing this bearded guy from North Carolina coming in with
I
arms
like
out
you.
his shit
You're all
ass.
right.
Oh, he said I'm all right. I've got him convinced. I've got him. I've tricked him.
Hook, line, sinker.
I've got him. I got him. I've tricked him. Apparently, I must be a nice guy. 2 sportsmanship awards, but hey. But yeah. What about you, Evan? What you've been quiet? Any big event or any event in particular that you're interested in going in the future?
Yeah, so you see, you guys messed up a little bit. You gave me a little spoonful, a little teaspoon of success, and I kind of liked it. And
success is good as long as it doesn't go to your head.
oh, I still think I suck. Don't worry, we're
there
good.
You go.
We're good
That's
there.
my point.
Yeah,
We have trained you well.
yeah. But
hey, I say the same thing too.
yeah, I'm really not all that good. It's people bring it up, and I'm like, guys, it was once. Maybe if I podium again, then I'd be like, okay, I'm all right, you know.
Well, that's like people say I'm good at running events, and I'm just like, not really. There's always some shit that I do wrong or something that's missing.
And this ties into the last question. I'm pretty interested in this Nova thing. Everybody's always talking about, just out of curiosity, just to see. You never know. You never know. I want to go see what happens.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go to RGS and think I was going to do anything either. So
I have been to one Nova, and that was in 2018 when the new rule books came out, and then the new Army books. So, side caveat, by the way, Adam Troke did his seminar that night after the doubles on Friday before the GT, because the GT is Saturday and Sunday, doubles is on Friday. So he did his seminar talking about the new rules, new models to come, yada yada yada. And the seminar, he got done talking at like, I don't know, we'll say 11:30, and everybody was going to go and buy all the new stuff because the new stuff was to be released at midnight. Well, we get ready to start leaving the seminar room, and the Games Workshop guy comes in and says, "Hey, we can't officially sell anything for another half hour. It has to technically be midnight." So Adam Troke's like, "You guys want to do a Q&A session? I'm here." And everyone's like, "Yeah!"
That's awesome.
So we got like I don't know. I'm saying it was 11:30. It was probably like a good 45 minute Q&A session. It had to have been somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes, just picking Adam Troke's mind about rules questions and new profiles and scenarios.
Where's Anarion?
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So while this is all happening, my wife is patiently sitting at the Games Workshop station in line holding my spot. So, of course, they have a limited number of the books and everything for purchase. So, everybody made a mad dash at midnight to go get in line, to go buy stuff. And I quietly and calmly just walk to the front of the line, and go stand next to my wife. And they're all like, "What?" And I'm like, "She's holding my spot." And they're like, "Can he do that?" And Devin Marino, bless his soul, was like, "She's been standing here since 10:30. I'm going to let her go." And I was like, "Thank you, Devin." So I have still in my possession the first rule book, first Army of Lord of the Rings, and first of those 3 dice sets, Rohan, Mordor, and the One Ring, that were sold in America.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, of course, I've got all that still in my possession. I play with it all. Got to have the rule book.
Well, yeah.
Got to have the Armies book. Got to throw some crappy dice that don't know how to roll higher than a 3. I swear my One Ring dice are cooked. They don't know how to roll higher than a 3. I don't play with them no more. I'm tempted to sell them just under that whole guise of like, first ones ever sold in America. See what idiot falls for it and buys them for like $100.
Well, then he'll just roll 6s.
Yeah, that would probably be what happens too. He'd probably message me like a month later, like, "Bro, I rolled nothing but 6s," and I'll be like, "Fuck you." But Nova is fun. I only got to play in the grand tournament and the doubles, but I wish I could do like Chaos and Arda, like I talked about. I've done that once, and I tried to do it here in Charlotte, but the day that I tried to plan it, I had 4 people who were like, "Yeah, I'll be there," and then I showed up at the game store, and all of them were just like, "No, I changed my mind," and I'm like, "Fuck you guys," because I live a good 45 minutes away.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was an hour and a half, and a third of a tank of gas wasted. So, but yeah, Nova's fun. I would say I think everybody should at least try and go to Nova once. You get to meet a lot of folks because a lot of folks come from Canada. Sometimes you get some of the Brits come in. Sometimes you get folks from like Europe, outside of England. So
I'll go more than once. That's my lie I'm going to tell myself every year. I'm going to be like, "Dude, this is it. You finally got better. You're going to go to Nova and you're going to do good." And then I'm just never going to do good, and I'm just going to go every year. So.
Well, the funny thing is, like, the first year I got to Carolina, so I got out of the military in May of 2017. I went on terminal leave in May, and my EOS wasn't until June 5th, but I was on terminal leave on the 15th of May, which worked out perfectly because on June 6th was the first Ringo South ever. So having that leave built up to go on terminal, perfect. And I got in there and met Dan and Joe and those guys, and they were they were really receptive, brought me in, I was gaming at their houses. Then we did this whole like boot camp in the fall where we went and played. We met up at this one dude's house. There's 6 of us, and the 5 of them were going to Nova, and I wasn't because I had just gotten out of the military. I had no time off at work. It sounded really cool, but I just started playing, so I knew I was going to get my ass kicked, and I just knew that if I got my ass kicked at a big event, I'd probably quit playing and didn't want to do that after having invested, 3 years worth of collecting models and thousands of dollars at that point, which my wife will still frown at. But we did this little boot camp, and we went out there and did 2 days, 5 rounds, and we just played each other. 6 guys. It works out perfectly. You just play everybody once. And we were simulating what it was like to be at Nova and do the grand tournament. Because it's one thing to do a 1-day, 3-round event. It's another thing completely to do a 2-day, 5 or 6 round event. And Nova's up to 6 rounds now. So it will leave you physically and mentally and emotionally exhausted. And that's what we were trying to simulate. And it worked out because the next year, our one guy I think he got 2nd place, and one of our other dudes got 10th place. And then, of course, that's the year I went, and I got my ass smacked. And I only won 2 of my 5 games. So I came in the latter third of the group, but hey, we won't talk about that. But it's a good time. There's a lot to see because, of course, it's DC. The upside is it's DC. The downside is it's DC.
Hell yeah.
There's a lot of stupid people around there.
Yeah. I'm not one for big crowds. So I hate stupid drivers too. So it's nice.
Reach.
Yeah. It's nice. It was nice staying at the hotel for 4 days because I didn't have to drive anywhere. And most of the food places outside of the hotel are within, 10 minutes walking distance. So, yeah, I definitely say you should go at least once. Everybody.
Oh, don't worry. I'm gonna go. I already told you I'm gonna go every year. It's always gonna end bad, but I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna have like Stockholm syndrome with Nova. It'll stop hurting me, and then I'll just lose again, and I'll try again next year.
Oh, you can keep track of how well you do. Just be like, you can see the roller coaster rider going up and down and be like, well, why did I do so bad this year compared to last year? Oh, because I brought a new list this year and I've only played like 4 games with it, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, it'll be a whole thing.
Well, I have no more questions for you guys. If you guys got anything on your mind you want to put out, any questions for me?
I just have at some point I just have one thing to mention about the podcast. Some news, actually.
Go for it.
Okay, so I realized today that it's to the point now where there's way more listens and listeners than at any point I expected. And like not insane amounts, but definitely more than I ever thought. I honestly figured when I started it that I would have quit by now because just nobody would listen to it. So I'm to the point now where I think it's probably time that we level up a little bit and actually try to make it a real thing. I think enough people listen now that like there's a reason to actually do stuff. So in the show description, there is a link now to become a monthly supporter of the show. And the reason for that is what I mean by leveling up is one of the most fun things to do, I've noticed. Like it's nice to like my last episode, like a little book summary basically of the Armies of the Hobbit book. That stuff's all good and fun and talking about the game, but the most fun I've had so far is all the tournament stuff. So like the pre-tournament interviews, the post-tournament interviews and all that kind of thing has been a million times more fun than just the general talking about the game. And it also seems like those episodes are the one, all of my episodes are the point where, you know, plenty of people listen to them and like them. But I have definitely noticed that when I release especially the pre-tournament episodes, the listens on those shoot up fast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
especially
want to
for
go to,
me.
yeah, exactly. And I want to start going to tournaments in faraway lands. And mostly by faraway lands, I just mean like other states is really what I'm getting at. But like, I want to go to every tournament possible to give people the episodes that they clearly like the most, which is the ones talking about tournaments. So, you know, if there's some monetization from the podcast and there's monthly supporters of people that like it, that'll be 10 times easier to just get up in July and go to your tournament or go up to Nova, or Asheville's already happening, so I can't use that as an example. But like go down to Gigabytes, or I know there's guys that have mentioned a bunch of tournaments they've been to in Texas or Arkansas or Kansas City and all these different things. So if that's, you know, that seems like that.
Washington.
Yeah, exactly. Just all over the place. And it seems like those are the episodes that people like the most. And so those are the ones that I want to do more of. And that'll make it 10 times easier to do that. On top of that, what I want to start doing is prize support for tournaments that I go to. Like just give whoever the TO is this stuff and say, hey, when people win these, tell them that it's courtesy of the Chump in the East MESBG podcast. I know I'm doing that with some stuff at NashCon. I've got 2 things, prize support that I'm donating there. And also like little like giveaways and stuff. Like maybe once a month have an episode where I ask a question or something and the first person to post the answer on the Facebook page, you know, awesome. You won this thing. Where do I send it?
Nice.
And for all of that stuff, you know, it'll just be way easier if there's, you know, people supporting the show. And I'm sure that everyone would like that stuff. So I figured now was as good a time as any to try and take it to the next level a little bit and improve both the content and offer people some prizes and stuff. So the link is in it's in the show description on, you know, whatever you listen to it on, Spotify, Apple, whatever. And it's broken up into 3 different values. So you can do 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. And at any time, if you're just like, nah, this guy sucks, never mind, you can cancel it. So
You don't suck. I will say that. And I
maybe
will
at the
Debatable.
game.
maybe at the
Yeah.
game, but your
Yeah.
podcast is definitely awesome. I will say when I was taking my drive up to crap, what do you call it? To New Jersey, I finished listening to the conversation you and I did, and then I listened to your post event summary as well, and that was a good way to pass the first 2 hours or so of my drive. And it's even better because now that I know yourself and Kevin, and I already knew Lee and John, but knowing these folks face to face and putting a face to the voice, it makes it much better. And it's good. You're doing a good job, bro. Don't knock
Thank you.
yourself.
Thank you.
And I'll make sure I'll drop a link, at least to the Spotify. Yeah, at least for Spotify. So, folks, if you're looking for where this podcast can be, just follow the link in the description below so you can check out Evan's podcast.
It's
I
fun.
was gonna
I have a
say
nice time.
I went to Anchor and just looked at my subscriptions for Chump in the East MESBG podcast, and it pops up.
Yep. You can
So
do the same thing in Spotify.
Yeah. It's
you
on
should
Apple as
make
well.
a IG so I can tag you and stuff instead of just writing Chump in the East podcast on my stories and post. By the way, so I can
I
actually
guess
like tag you in something so like my followers can click on your name and go to your page.
I agree with
yeah,
that.
I know,
That's the
yeah.
next part.
Yeah, I should probably do that, huh?
Yeah. Hey, hell, I barely like being on Facebook, so I feel your pain on that.
I was gonna say I put a on my story. I gave a shout out to both you guys, but obviously there's no links to click. So
Well, you can find me, but I don't really post on my Instagram.
oh okay.
I don't even know where my phone is, or I actually honestly don't even know what my name is. I don't even know what my Instagram name is. That like I get on there like once a week and just be like, oh cool, look what this guy that I follow posted. Let's see. My phone doesn't even want to open the link. There you go. That shows how little I use it. What is my name? Oh, there it is. Remington179. Okay. I guess that's my name. Oh, I do have some pictures on there. Oh, look at that. It's all other than my one cat picture, it's all MESBG stuff. All 21
Excellent.
posts I have up there. That's hilarious. But yeah. Kevin, anything last thoughts for you? Last questions, comments, concerns? Say them now or forever
I didn't
hold
know.
your peace.
I didn't know that Evan was monetizing, so go give him money so he can travel the world and continue gathering spoons from strange and exotic places.
I love strange and exotic spoons. Do what he just said. Do what he just said.
Well, you know what? Next year at Ringo South. Next year, okay? So,
Now, because you just said that, I'm going to win the damn tournament. Thanks a lot.
there you go. I'm all right with that. You're welcome. If it happens, you can just like go on one knee and be like, I knight thee, Sir Jason the Profiteer, who made the profit happen. And I will just be like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you just caused me to win first place at RGS next year. Mark your calendars.
I've got to figure out the dates.
Okay, don't mark your calendars yet.
Well, I can say this. I do have 2 dates in mind currently. Hold on. I got to fast forward through my calendar to look to next year. So I actually am looking at the 18th and 19th or the 25th and 26th of June.
Evan, when's AT?
I literally just stood up to look.
It better not be one of those 2 weekends.
What about July?
It's probably gonna be.
If I had to guess, it's going to be one of those 2 because why would
What was the weekend?
thing happen?
It's the last 2 in June. 17th, 18th, 19th, or 24th, 25th, 26th.
Let's do 24th, 25th, and 26th because Evan and me are gone the 4th through the 18th.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, last weekend. Do the last weekend.
Okay.
Last weekend.
Well, see, I get a day off every year at my current job for my birthday, but I have to use it the week of, the week before, or the week after. And next year my birthday falls on a Friday, so that's why I'm looking at those the 10th, 11th, and 12th is the weekend before it, and I'm not looking at that one because I believe the Atlantic City Open is going to happen again next year, and that's the weekend that it was. But I'm trying to get dates ironed out now. I'm gonna put a poll on the Carolina MESBG page for those 2 weekends, and I will definitely say I'm willing to do the 24th, 25th, and 26th because I'd love to have you guys there. Naturally.
Yeah, I like that one. Do that one.
Oh yeah, brother.
Plus, it also gets us. Let's see. Looking at 4th of July. Yeah, 4th of July is the next weekend, but that's not that big a deal. I think people wouldn't mind having 2 days off, 2 weekends, 2 long weekends in a row if they take Friday off to come do doubles.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at
that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm looking at doing doubles on a Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday is the GT itself.
So okay, so you're looking to have next year's be like a full blown big boy tournament.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at doing it at Embassy Suites that I told you guys about.
Okay.
The one with the vaulted ceilings.
Yeah. The actual
Nice. Vaulted ceilings. Sick.
Think about it. All the heat and man odor will just raise up. You won't have to sit there and bask in it. It will just bask.
Whoever was crop dusting us during round 3,
Bro,
we won't have to deal with that.
Rank. That was rank.
Oh, it was so bad.
I was
it
safe.
was so bad. Yeah, you were safe.
You were so far away.
Over at Mike's and my table, it was bad.
Mike thought it was me. I was like, no, bro, it's not me. If it was me, I'd be claiming this shit because I'd be proud of
it. Me and Greg were safe.
Yeah, it was bad.
Vaulted ceilings, problem solved.
There you go. Well, and the cool thing is they have an open bar with happy hour in the evening. So, and I believe if I'm remembering correctly, happy hour is free. So that's one way to get nerdy gamers in is tell them they can get free beer for 2 hours in the evening.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm about that life. And it's free, so you know it's gonna be better.
Yeah. I will say it's probably going to be a little more expensive because it is a more upscale area or upscale hotel, but free booze.
It's
Don't care. Name your
free
price.
booze. I was gonna say it's also a 3-day tournament, so it's a lot easier to justify spending more money when you're down there for 3 days.
That's true.
So
That's true.
I
RGS was
guess.
the first tournament I did good at, so you've got me on lock. As
Ah,
long as
yeah.
I'm not, as long as I'm not busy that weekend every year, I'm all yours.
Well, you know, I'll change up when I can to try and accommodate.
Hey, in a couple of years, it won't matter anymore. I'm just saying.
Oh, why's
Yeah.
that? Because you'll be too good?
No, because I'm gonna get out
Oh,
of the
I
army.
got you. I got you. I see what you're saying. Hey, man, it's nice, I will say. But yeah.
Can't wait.
Well, I think that is everything. I just want to say thank you guys both for taking the time. Oh, I got to do my own shout out. My bad.
Whoa.
I totally forgot. This upcoming Saturday, these two guys are going to be back on the channel because
Hello.
we're doing Tolkien Trivia Night again. And this time, the live stream is actually going to have sound.
Ooh.
That was very disheartening. I'm not gonna lie.
My soul literally got crushed when my wife walked into the room and looked at me, and her face was like, "There's no sound," and I'm just like, "What? What do you mean there's no sound?" And she held up her phone next to me, and people are talking, and I can hear them in my headset, but there's nothing coming out of her phone, and I'm just like, "Ugh." I want to say so many bad words right now, but I don't want this video taken off of YouTube. But yes, there will be sound. We will be doing The Hobbit this time. And
Oot.
it will be Evan, Kevin, Joe, Dan, and I think Robert's trying to come back in as well. We'll see. I'm not sure. He said he was interested and down, but I haven't heard from him yet. We'll see who shows up at 7 o'clock on Saturday. So yeah, guys, live streams sometime around 7. We'll probably start at 7:15 because we'll chit chat forever in a day before we actually get started. Evan will be late again by 15 minutes.
No, not this time. I'll be at home this time.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna be doing some Tolkien trivia, so stay tuned for that. And otherwise, go check out Chump in the East podcast.
Woot.
Hit like, share, subscribe. Go check out my co-channel with Dan and Joe, the LOTRSBG team. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Enjoy your Tolkien Legendarium.